Welcome to our week 2 lecture. This is the start of our content for this week, even though there's been a little bit of an intro already. I want to really get into the chapters I had you read for week 1 for a second before we move on to the readings from this week. Demystifying Disability by Emily Ladau is not your traditional text for a course. It's a trade nonfiction book that is out there for everybody to enjoy and read. I'd highly encourage you to read a copy of it. Our Grand Valley Library has a copy. It's available on Amazon and most independent booksellers, and I think it's a book that you'll come back to and use as a resource. The book does a great job of defining disability and how we talk about it. And who better to learn from than an author who identifies as a person with a disability? Emily Ladau really gets into the different ways we use language, person-first language, or identity-first language, and how ultimately that's really a choice of the individual with a disability. And how if you're going to work with someone with a disability in maybe a workplace, a school setting, as a peer or a colleague or a friend, we need to honor that person's choice and have an open and honest conversation in not only how you can help if they need help, or how they'd like you to speak about that and recognize that. The one thing that I just want to reiterate that was something that I really worked on when I was in the public schools is to never identify someone with a disability by the equipment that they use. For example, a wheelchair, a cane, a walker. That person is not wheelchair bound. That is a person that uses a wheelchair. It's a tool. A piece of equipment is a tool. Again, reiterating that we need to show a lot of respect for people with disabilities and allowing them to have the choice about how we speak about them. And when I say them, I mean that individual with a disability. Emily Ladau as a person with a disability, not so much as a population, just like we would show respect for other people that are different in other ways. You always have to ask for preferred language, and that's becoming very, very common in our society. And I think that's a good thing, especially when it comes to recognizing differences in how we learn and move. I want to use an example about honoring and respect when it comes to an individual with a disability. It's going to go off on a little bit of a tangent away from language, but we always need to think about intent and impact. So let me give you a personal example. We were arranging for a speaker series of and from individuals with disabilities. And we wanted a nationally known speaker. And when we were talking about it, of course, it came down to budgets. And we were just having a very general conversation. And we were talking about a specific national speaker who would charge us $7,500, $7,500 for a speaking engagement, a one-time, maybe 2-hour speaking engagement. And I made some kind of a statement like, wow, it's amazing she gets that. That was a lot of money. In my brain, I was thinking, I want to be a speaker. I want to work for 2 hours and make $7,500. How does that happen? What is the job trajectory? How do you make that happen? What was heard, and maybe the impact of what I said was, wow, a person with a disability can make that much money? That's not what I meant at all. So my intent was different than the impact my words made. Luckily, I was in a group of very trusted, friendly, wonderful colleagues. Someone kind of pointed that out, and we had a great discussion around that, around how not only do you have to honor the intent, meaning me as the speaker, I did not mean to offend the speaker, me as the speaker, I did not mean to offend the person we were going to pay to come in. That was not my intent at all. But myself as the speaker, the person that said that, needed to be aware of the impact of what I said. So that's just a small example of how we need to really make sure we honor, respect, and keep track and keep in check our own language around working with, for, and teaching and being in a community with people with disabilities.